And this is us. And then we come.
Something wrong. You gotta be really quick. Operation is going to be. It's about property. Speed matters. How did you work? The first question is about the speed. What is it you want?
So you want to understand how this company works?
I'm not angry.
Let's get real.
Anger is not cool.
It's simple.
Why is he speaking so aggressively?
I want to get real here.
This guy so...
I'm getting real here.
I'm not angry. There's no time for deeper discussion. How are you gonna do it? No. I'm really serious about it.
This is you. And this is us. And then we come.
Something wrong. You gotta be really quick. Operation is going to be. It's about property. Speed matters. How did you work? The first question is about the speed. Dear art, dear art, dear art, I've been sinning and unfaithful to you. Here I am, on my knees or on my floor, crawling after you, begging for forgiveness. You know, I did shortcuts, more networking than actual work, went to that opening and didn't even look at the performance, skipped that video, didn't read the booklet, envy at the painting, got too many glasses of wine, blackmouthed a fellow artist, mentioned the name of that theoretician for way too many times. We both also know that I read just the introduction. Here I am, at your whitest hallway, like a shadow, a stain, an imperfection, worried about my garments, doubting your justice and capacity for social change. Please, accept my deepest portfolio. It is not finished yet. I'll be making new work soon. Hope you understand. Your artist. Well, you can give me a little round, like a kind of warming applause. Let's make a deal. I will not do a performance. I'll tell you how to get to Venice Biennale. But first, I want to show you a little kind of advertising. And as a disclaimer, well, don't make any investment decisions on that. How to push through new ideas when no one needs them.
how to concentrate, how to transform disappointment, desperation, and insecurities into financial instruments. We at Prospect Revenge have a solution, an investment scheme which will turn your negative emotions into uber financial resources. We will buy out your anxiety caused by failing to sort out the trash, dependency on social media, war, those who voted wrong, who parked the car badly, rejected ideas, not listening to your wife, husband, lover, bad investment, poor service, dirty shoes, or holidays in Bali. Don't tell us what to want, how to be, what to fight for. Fight? Are you kidding? To survive, to live well, live a normal life, be positive. Peace of mind is what we want. Are we to be blamed? No, everything is not going to be alright, but is that news? Why wait for tomorrow? Accept who you are now. Acquire a revenge coin at prospectrevenge.com. Hold in your hand and your determination to act will grow.
Okay, I don't know, I've been talking about these sins that I've did. I don't know if it's like so good to, we are so like sinful and talking about regretting things. But I want to tell you, as I promised, how to get to Venice Biennale. And I started my artist practice 10 years ago, so in 2012. And prior to that, I've been working a lot in commercial photography for 10 years. It's been going very well. I could kind of, well, do a couple jobs a month and have a lot of free time. But then I got tired, I don't know, I decided to change everything in my life. It was almost New Year, the time when you make promises and new resolutions. And I decided to improve myself, to become a better person, to become a better artist. And I started what I call now a practice of management of circumstances in economy of coincidences. And that practice started through experiment on determinism, on the destiny. So I said that through the next year, I will start a 12-step program, which I call 12.5 Chance. And every month, I would engage in certain activity that would lead me to completely new horizons and progresses. And I will quickly speak about this methodology, and you may also try to apply certain things in your lives and see where it gets you. So, one of the samples, and this 12.5 chance, so I will tell you about chance number 5, as it was kind of changing my life mostly. Well, I cannot tell like so, but so I said to myself that I will go to Kaunas, Lithuania, and there is Kaunas second city, and there is a zoology museum with stuffed animals, and there is a Kaunas Biennale now going on there. But it's a very peculiar place with a lot of like stuffed animals, and I haven't been there, so I said I will travel there on the first Sunday of next coming month, and I will meet a person who will tell me what should I do next in my life. And I go to Kaunas, and I bring with me this large format camera that you go undercover, and I place it, and I'm waiting for someone to come. And then I meet people, and I'm telling them that, you know, guys, this is special for me, this encounter is special for me, and I was preparing for this for a month. And we have the strangest conversations, and one of the person I've met was a shoemaker. And I decided that I'm gonna ask him to make me a pair of shoes. I didn't ask for any design or anything, etc. So he just asked, could you make me a pair of shoes? And then he did me a pair of shoes. The shoes were called Chance number 5. And then I decided to open a shoe store in Helsinki next month as another chapter. And I opened a shoe store, Chance number 5, where there was one pair of shoes and pictures of people who I've met in that museum. The shoes he made were, he did them, they weren't kind of super big. They went like 46 or 47, and then it was kind of difficult task to try to find a person who would like them and who would be willing to buy them. But at the end of the day, I met, there was a last person who came. He was super big, and he liked the shoes, and he acquired the shoes, and that's how the one thing led to the other. I'm not going to talk about all the things that happened through that year, but it started to work me professionally. Suddenly curators got interested of what I'm doing here, what's going on, and in the 6 months I was proposed some shows that I could not have imagined. And I was invited to participate in a show in Contemporary Art Center, which was a very big thing for me as a kind of student back then. I wasn't yet a student. Well, I was, but then I stopped. Anyways. So I started messing up with my life as much as I can, and then as a response, life started messing with me. So I started looking in the ways the chaos or the order is describing our lives. And then I ran into a book on pataphysics, which deals with the chances, and I don't know what brought me there. It just kind of landed in my hands, that book. And I don't know if you are familiar with pataphysics, but pataphysics is known as a science of imaginary solutions. Or my favorite description, it's a field beyond metaphysics. Or so to say simply, if I would say, I have a brother and he likes cheese, that would be physics. Maybe I have a brother and maybe he likes cheese, that would be metaphysics. I don't have a brother but he likes cheese is pataphysics. So it's a domain beyond rational. It's a domain that is interested in all the aspects of human stupidity. And it has a sort of scientific approach to human stupidity. I'll have like in getting this. My voice is getting a bit thirsty. Thank you. So as I started messing up with life, life started messing me back. And after that year, I knew that the program is working. And the 2nd of January, I got an email, as I'm saying that was a proof that this was a good resolution. So it was an anonymous email saying, "Hi Robertas, would you like to go to Paris next Monday to photograph a cactus, yes or no?" So I write yes, and then I receive the tickets, and I'm in a couple of days heading to Paris. And pataphysics is a French invention, and by Alfred Jarry, a writer from 19th century. And it's practiced through societies and institutions such as Collège de Pataphysics, the Collège de Pataphysique in Paris. So I thought, if I'm going there to photograph a cactus, I definitely should meet someone from a college. So I wrote an email to the college saying, hello, I'm working in management of circumstances in economy of coincidences. Would there be, by a chance, someone who I could meet? And now I am realizing that it was very rare that they would respond in such inquiries. But surprisingly, next Sunday, I was meeting the college people in the College of Pataphysics. I've met the guy who's holding the crocodile. And actually, the head of a college at that time was a crocodile. There was a trained crocodile. And this is a Thierry Fouque. And the college is sort of semi-secret organization. And there are a lot of like these well-known people who were at a certain moment part of that. Or you can't be part, you can't quit once you are in. And now, there is Elizabeth also in the back who was there, and Umberto Eco. And anyways, so in the college, I was invited to have this dinner, and I was invited to have a dinner. And the dinner was very simple, a glass of wine and some Greek nuts. And here on the table, you can see a brain model here. So while working on this program, I would obtain certain artifacts and objects, and artworks would happen as a side effects of what I'm engaged in. And one of these artifacts that I obtained was a brain model. And I said to myself that whenever I would go somewhere abroad, I would carry that brain model with me. And of course, I had it with me in the back in the college. And then we started talking about time with Thierry, and they explained to me that in pataphysics there is a separate calendar which is combined of 13 months, and what is January in this regular world is actually called décervelage. It's a month of décervelage. And décervelage is this word that is hardly translatable in English, but basically it means disembraining. So it was a great coincidence that I had that brain on the table. I thought I'm just gonna drop it on the table. It's gonna be funny. And it was very interesting that I had that brain. And then it appeared that they just published a book on all the disembraining practices, starting from trepanation in the Stone Age, where they would drill a hole in the head to let the bad spirits, through Renaissance, through Lev Trotsky brain measurements, etc., etc. So it's a separate department for all the disembraining practices. So it was this coincidence that made me think that, it became obvious during the conversation in that evening that we need to open an Institute for Pataphysics in Vilnius, in Lithuania. And now I'll kind of skip fast forward or fast backward to 1852. 1852. It's a year or like a century when the trains, the rails were moving the humanity towards progress. And like internet today, it was a very important innovation that changed everything. And Lithuania at that time was sort of part of Russian Empire, and And there was a rail connecting St. Petersburg and Warsaw through Vilnius. It was built in 1852, but it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary to build that rail. It was a caprice of an emperor. It was cool to have a rail, but it wasn't a tunnel. And the tunnels, I'm sorry, I think I forgot like something to say, but I'm talking about the tunnels now. So the tunnels was this, the miracle. And so the engineers were told to find a place on the road where they could build a tunnel, and they found one just beside Vilnius. But now, today, the rail goes around, and the tunnel is actually in the middle of the forest, and it's rather a cave. And in this cave, we founded the Institute for Pataphysics, VIP, if you like say it, Vilnius Institute for Pataphysics. So whenever you see VIP, it might be Vilnius Institute for Pataphysics. There was a special ceremony, of course, and people from all over, not all over the place, but distinguished guests were coming, and there was a ceremony, and marble board opened, and the Institute for Pataphysics Vilnius was founded. And then what to do about it? It was the couple years we've been thinking of how to proceed with this privilege and with this access, with this knowledge, and we came up with the idea to launch artist placement program that would be run by the Institute for Pataphysics. And the program was called Visioneers, or Visionaire. It's, yeah. So artist program run by Vilnius Institute for Pataphysics called Visioneer. And we started developing, so artist placement program, if I may, is invention of artist placement group back in the 70s with an idea that artists should be part of different industries, scientific development and economies. And so in that spirit, we sought collaborations with tech companies, IT companies, to place an artist in a tech company to get to know the technology and to come up with something new. That we don't ask any money, we don't ask anything, we just want to understand how does it work. So we started with the program with IT company called, well, not the IT company, the program, which was called Tuna Roll or a Nut. That's the application we started working on. And tuna roll or a nut is a palindrome. It's actually a word that you can read from both sides, as you may see. It's from tuna roll or a nut, or tuna roll or a nut. Amazing. And so we developed successfully the application. We had a launch in a Stedelijk Museum. And the application, I thought it was very kind of useless, but I'm sorry, I think I missed the slide. But it was an application that later on, a couple years later, I saw it, a million of copies of it. We invented, I may say, a digital fidget spinner. You remember these guys that you could spin on a finger? So we invented this digital version of that. And it was actually, well, later on quite successful could be quite successful in the market. So in this most absurd way, without trying to prove anything, we could, well, we did a digital fidget spinner. This is a little bit off topic. I added this slide. So like since we are here professionals mostly. So then what was happening on the brink, whether in art institutions or galleries, it was hard to understand where to place the things that I was involved in. And here I'm the slide from the show solo that I had in Contemporary Art Center, which was set up as a factory. And then you could see the layers of augmented reality that before, well, metaverse, 5 years before metaverse, I mean, okay, going deeper into off topics, no, we'll later, I'll leave that for Q&A. Anyway, so that direction, what I wanted to say that we continued working with the digital realms and IT companies further and further, deeper and deeper. And this also started to appear in the exhibitions. So this exhibition was set as a factory, as an imaginary factory with the imaginary or augmented reality employees and automated machines and text written by, yeah, of course, artificial intelligence. Then, next to everything what was going on, there was a decision made that there should be another branch launched immediately that was called Autarkia. And Autarkia was a collaboration with genetical engineers. I wanted to develop a glowing plant. A glowing plant, or basically we would wanted to write poetry on the plants, with the kind of glowing plants. And of course, it's an idea from 18th century, and we found genetical engineers, and there's a nice scene of genetical engineers in Vilnius, and we worked with the plants. But for me, it wasn't that I knew that we were going to be successful in this, and we did manage to make the plants glow. I don't want to go into details, but then the problem was to find a place where to present it immediately somewhat. And we started looking for a space in Vilnius. And then in the area that is kind of now, I don't know, in the area that used to be a secret Soviet space program factories, and there was a canteen which kind of suited our purposes. So we decided to rent it for a couple months to present the project and then wrap it up. But then suddenly, not suddenly, Autarkia, from being genetical engineer, changed to a project of social engineering. Autarkia became artist daycare center, social center, experiment on what the project space, what the gallery means, and what does it mean to be part of the community, and call it, well, we never called it anything as collective, but it served this purpose for many artists, and not only artists and different people. And then, of course, we started a restaurant that would keep the autarkia, means a self-sufficient system, economically self-sufficient system. And then we run a restaurant which is still running, and the artist daycare center is on already for 5 years and self-sustainable. Yes, so I mean it's a lot to probably I'm throwing at you. Sorry, but I'll be like finishing soon with this, or maybe next slide. So while developing this economy, we started looking at the way the value is created, and of course also into crypto world. Well, that was also from 2011, something that I've been investigating. And then, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, Revenge Coin. That was Revenge Coin, a project that launched in 2011. 18, and it's, well, now, of course, okay, yeah, it's NFT, and here I will stop because I want to invite Neringa, curator, with whom we are wondering what's going to happen in Venice. Neringa, please join me. Wait. I don't know, maybe here.
Maybe here.
Yeah.
Maybe here?
I think so, no?
Okay.
Yeah.
I take some water as well. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Robertas. It was really interesting, a little intense, as you said yourself. And so I was just wondering, how do we continue? When I was listening to you, it felt like your project, Chance, 12 and a half chances, has never ended, actually. So there's a chain of chances, and it seems that one event led to another. And as you finished your presentation introducing Venice Biennale, so I was wondering if you feel that Venice Biennale is part of a chain, and and how because of course I work with you on this project, and it seems to me that kind of a certain chance or intuition or these kind of things are very present into your overall creative work.
Well, what I think, it's banal. I think what is important is to think of what does it mean to be free, and how do we make decisions. And I'm trying to understand whether it's conscious that I'm involved in, or whether it's inertia that just drives me in this flow of chaos, or whether there is order. But this is the further I think that so many things are exactly described by cliches and anecdotes, and I'm constantly looking also backwards on things that I'm doing, and on the hopes that we have as a society. Where are we going? And I think that it's important to listen to inner voice, to listen to your inner voices and to let them go and guide you. And that's what I try to figure out, where this sometimes someone would say irrational, I don't know what does it mean irrational, well, things that would not make sense to do, brought me to, again, well, someone would say successful, I don't want to say end, but certain achievements. So in that sense, I want to embrace and encourage everyone to risk. There's nothing to lose, and I'm thinking with Venice, I have a lot of also, well, human nature, fear of what's gonna happen, and there's a lot of, well, pressure and interest what's gonna happen. And I can tell you that I don't know, and you know that I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. And this project is based on being okay with not knowing, but trusting I don't want to say universe, but trusting in general, trusting that things are rather turning out okay. And okay doesn't mean the way I want. And our will, or my will, I'm trying with this experiment on determinism to accept that, not to override the will. And but it's also, I don't want to mistake you that, you know, that you just let things happen and everything is by a chance. But be more sensitive to listen to coincidences. And of course, the project that we are working on is called Gut Feeling. It's called Gut Feeling, and it's a project on intuition. On intuition, on how to, and what does it mean to be brave today?
I think it's very important what you are telling us, also kind of in a bigger, looking at this at a bigger scale of what is happening today, like facing all these crises, you know, trying to be more, I don't know, gentle or more sensitive to our environment, to our planning, to our planet, to other non-human beings and human beings as well. It also seems to me that humor occupies somehow important part of your creative work, and I was glad to hear that some people were also laughing during the performance today. So would you like to say a few words about humor?
Well, I talked to a friend who's a professional comedian recently, and he told me that it takes a lot of pain for a good comedian. So you have to suffer a lot to be funny, or to understand how ridiculous things are. And I don't know if you can learn it easily. So humor is, I think, something that you can't easily explain, and it's has a lot to do with the spontaneity and chances, and capturing the certain opportunities that come at you, at us. And so my favorite genre is like, how do you call it, tragicomedies. So I love the tragedy, and of course, I mean, we all love that.
Yeah, I prefer comedies than tragedies, but you know, life is full of everything. Yeah, so we're jumping from topic to the topic, but somehow being around the project which is ahead of us, Venice Biennale, and looking back at what you did previously, it seems that there are so many different collaborations. You did so many projects collaborating not only with your fellow artists, but also with some business people and scientists and IT people. And in Venice, actually, we're founding, I will just say that we're establishing a half fictional, half functional fabric, which will produce a product from seaweed. So would you like to tell us a little more, and would you like to speak a little more about the kind of importance of collaboration in your practice and also in the project in Venice?
Collaboration is tricky. Collaboration is tricky thing. I mean, it's recently we've been so embraced to collaborate, but then does it always work? It's like so much. It's so inefficient to collaborate. You have to make compromises. You have to bear other people in general. So I don't know about the collaborations anymore. No, I know, but no, okay. So that what I wanted to say, that I think that collaboration is an important thing, but you cannot take it for granted. And I always try to find a sort of deal in collaboration, like a kind of context or within parameters within which we all seek things that are good for us as different. So it's like not about uniting people for one idea, but it's rather finding people that we would be interested together and we could go along for a certain time, or as long as it is interesting, but we don't have to define as something more than, no, it's always a miraculous encounter. So, I mean, if I may come back to the chance number 5, it started from the encountering other person, and that was the kind of, I don't know, thing that started the chain reaction. So yes, so collaboration is an important part, and then I often speak of myself as we, as I'm also not that alone myself. There's you know, million voices in me, and there are, you know, bacteria and etc. So it's a things changing the way we understand what does it mean to be in part of ecosystem, and I'm learning to be part of a group, of a collective, and I'm very happy most of the times.
Yeah, but I think it's very important what to say, but I think it's still important always, but also now to kind of find a common language to other people that you are dealing with. And we as a society, I think it's, you know, crucial for us to find moments where we can understand each other, or maybe some points where all of the participants of society or of projects that we are, you know, funding, that each of a participant has its own role and has its own room to fulfill his or her or their dreams. And perhaps it's kind of very exciting to think about it now after COVID crisis and, you know, nearly 2 years that we spent alone in our homes, and I think for most of us it was a kind of very difficult moment that made us reevaluate many things, and also like the importance of human interaction and being able to be with others, to do things with others, to work with others, and maybe to construct I don't know, better systems or better ways of doing and working and just living on this planet. And I think this kind of eager to build something better, to change things for the better, is also somehow was resonating to me during all of your presentation, and for the project in Venice there is also this layer of narrative that an artist is always seeking to change the world and make it somehow a better place, at least for him or herself. So I don't know if you want to continue or comment on this.
No, I'm disappointed. No, we've been disappointed many times before, but the biggest disappointment of this, well, we are like all the time in some crisis, all the time.
I spoke to some artist some months ago about actually the COVID crisis, and he said that it's kind of always, it's kind of very exciting to be in the moment of crisis, because you see that one system is collapsing and there is a gap and a moment of pause before the new is coming up. So there are many anxieties and anticipation and hopes and yeah.
But I mean, is this a real crisis? I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, it's okay, hypothetically speaking. We are still doing so well, and we are living still better than ever. I mean, I'm generalizing, but in the Western world, and we still are not. We are still rejecting the. Anything what's going on. So we are not really facing the crisis. I mean, personal things may be happening, but when I think we should be accepting that no change is funny. No changes like in the ad. No changes. Transformation, like and transformation is always a painful thing, and yet we try to put into not to see the reality and try to put ourselves on some sort of how you call it, these drugs that take a pain off. So we don't want to. So in that sense, I'm a little bit disappointed that the crisis has been so softened that it will just prolong certain necessary, real, actual changes. Maybe, I mean, okay, I'm sorry, but, you know, another idea that we have to understand, but it's okay also. We don't have to, you know, beat up ourselves for. No, there is no revolution. There's no way. Things are not happening revolutionary. Even revolutions, they take 20 years for certain things to happen. There's no revolution that kind of happened exactly in one day. So, well, I'm very, as well, optimistic.
Good. I think this is what we need in these days to have some optimism. But I also feel that we are kind of going in circles and saying some things, but leaving so much unsaid. Would you like to say more about what we are preparing for Venice? What is the project for you now? I know that as you said.
No, it's okay. Yeah, let's do so. I mean, there is a clear description of what it is. It's a living and survival drama set up in a working class neighborhood in Castello in Venice. We are renting and also acquired several shops on the ground floor of Venice. So it's a kind of this situation where it's not like these big palazzos, but it's what used to be a laundry shop, what used to be bread maker, and now we are setting up there a pavilion. So we're turning this village, or not village, like we're creating certain village in these streets. And then, of course, the drama starts. Like, so how are we going to be accepted? What does it mean? So is it necessary good that the artists come and so we have to create all these relationships with, and we are creating a sort of ourselves a problem. We're starting a sort of economical enterprise, and in that way, people are understanding that what are we doing. And so this project is, again, as you said, like very much real and very much direct. On the other hand, it's also metaphorical. So through this factory, we are changing ourselves and our lives, and yeah, I don't know.
I just recently came back for another faraway trip, and someone during the trip told me that we always say how places that we visit affects us, but we rarely think of how we affect the places that we are visiting. You know, like it's not only about us; it's also about these places and the encounters where, and you know. But I was also thinking maybe we have some questions from the audience. If there is anyone who wants to say or comment something, please feel welcome. And if not, I have some more questions left. So there is also this moment of entrepreneur very present in your work, and while you were presenting your past projects, I was thinking that you are somehow entrepreneur in art, if you if this term makes some sense. But there's always this kind of a strong connection to the real world, or like the market and business and startups and things like that. And at some point you mentioned usefulness and uselessness in your works. So what do you think? What art can do and what it cannot do in you know, attempts of participating in bigger processes of this world, of this life?
Well, I mean, there are like different ways to think about it, but what I'm trying to understand, of course, what am I doing here? You know, what does it mean to be artist? And you know, well, artists a lot of the times, like visual artists, they want to be some rock stars also secretly. But for me, this environment, or okay, I don't like this word neoliberal, but I'm trying to understand the way these processes and economics in a way define our lives, define not only lives but also artworks, and this again goes back to the question, you know, the motives, and I want just to understand better the urge to progress and to urge to improve things, and this is most present in the world of entrepreneurship. And this is where the human nature is also expressed very vividly. So, but then it's also narrowed down to usefulness, and usefulness is immediately putting a limit to the possibilities. So I'm trying to put these two things, the useful and the useless, against each other as in a kind of collider, and create energy out of these different contexts, and we're all, and it's our part of our human nature as well, like this. Okay, so in every decision you make, there is this rational and irrational, and yeah, so it's a vehicle.
Yeah, and I think it's like kind of important to think about this now, when kind of this big promise of progress is failing the human kind and other kinds of this planet, as we are facing so many kind of different kinds of crises, starting with the ecological and so on. Still no questions. I kind of feel that we are running out of time, and I don't know, maybe the last question I have is, you are participating in this fair, presenting your work, so which was part of it was produced during the last lockdown, and I don't know if you like to say something about it, or.
I just want to add to this technologies, one thingy that you kind of nicely brought up. Of course, as for artists, it's very interesting to work with the, we think that we are explorers, and when you work with something that is not there yet, you end up, experimenting, and you have ability to create your own language. And that's what's fascinating, and that's what's interesting. But at the same time, I worked a lot as a kind of very pro-technological person, but then, I don't want to say, but I'm like, I don't want to say, but I'm a poet, obviously, as well. So, so now I'm as a person, like the guys that work in tech, they have these periods when you work, and then, so now I'm a lot neolithic. Like I'm not against the technology, but I try to look again at things and maybe differently, but in a very technological way. Okay. Well,
creating NFTs, like, wait.
Yes, and for me, if you made, this is also interesting as a sort of, what sort of impact it has on promises-wise. What does it promise if it's not only sort of aesthetics, but it's also as a powerful tool enabling a lot of people, and we still have to understand how we're gonna use it, and what's so I definitely I'm there, but I'm not an evangelist for. I'm exploring, and I've been working with this field for some time, so it's just a curiosity. Not just, but it's curiosity. Curiosity is, I think, still. Curious. Let's stay curious.
Let's stay curious. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. I invite you in advance to come and visit us in Venice. We are opening the pavilion on 21st of April in Castello, and thank you so much, and have a nice evening. And if you want to see the work of Robertas at the fair, it is presented at Varty Gallery booth. I
Please
don't
do visit,
know which the number. Thank you so much.
Thank you.